Assalamu alaikum, dear student. Today we are going to solve a worksheet related to the topic chemical bonding, and it is specially designed for the level 1 and level 2 students. So going to start the first question. Question 1. Which substance is a good conductor of electricity when solid? So it is obviously we can say a metal. As if we go for the elimination method, we can say that a halogen is a non-metal and non-metal cannot conduct electricity. Plastic, similarly, we have to eliminate it. A salt, which is an ionic compound, and ionic compound in solid state has no free moving ions or electrons. That's why we have to eliminate this option as well. So leaving behind the correct option, a metal. So a metal is a substance which can conduct electricity very easily due to the presence of delocalized electrons. So moving question 2, here we can see the diagrams show the structure of two forms X and Y of a solid element, and we can understand this substance X or this form X is graphite, whereas the substance Y is diamond, and these both are the allotropic form of we can say the carbon. So here what are suitable uses of X and Y based on their structures? So we can say due to the layers inside the graphite structure, it can slide over each other and is soft, can be used as lubricant. The diamond, which is the hardest material, so it can be used for drilling, so we have to choose option C as the best option, keeping in mind the correct uses of both graphite and diamond. Question number 3, a very typical question related to the dot and cross diagrams or the covalent bonding structures. Question says the diagram shows models of molecules. Which molecule could the above model present? So simply you have to focus X. It is a simple or a single form, and we know that keeping in mind the periodic table, only the noble gases exist as the single or monoatomic forms. So this definitely could be the helium, or and we can say that the option A or B both can be correct depending upon the other two forms. So X definitely should be helium as it is the single one. Why is it? This is the bonding between two similar atoms, and we can say that the similar atoms in chlorine is a diatomic molecule, so there should be similar type of the atoms which are sharing electrons with each other and may have the structure Cl bonded with a single bond with another Cl. Then the Z, this is definitely a water. Why? As central part, which is oxygen, is making a single bond with hydrogen and another single bond with hydrogen. So the bonding structure of water is exactly the same model as we can see in Z. So the correct option will be A. Proceeding to question number 4. Which statement about the electrical conductivity of non-metal and the charge on their ion is correct? We can say that non-metals are not the good conductor, so they are poor conductor of electricity, and non-metals can easily gain electron and can form negative charge ions. So the D will be the right option. Proceeding, question number 5. Here strontium is a metal that forms an ionic chloride, SrCl2. Sulfur is a nonmetal that forms a covalent chloride. So which compound is likely to have the higher melting point and which is more soluble in water? So by keeping the general properties of ionic and covalent compounds, we can say that ionic compound, due to their giant ionic lattices, have high melting points. So the strontium chloride, which is an ionic compound, should have or must have high melting point. Secondly, the ionic compounds are also more soluble in water as compared to the covalent molecules. So we can say A is the right option. Going to question number 6. This question, again, we can see a displayed formula of a compound in which the molecule contains what? The carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. From the periodic table, carbon is present in the fourth group of the periodic table and has 4 electrons in its valence shell and can form 4 covalent bonds. So we have to identify out of these 3 type of the different particles, the black one, the gray one, and the white one, which one is making 4 bonds. So we can say this black one. So there are 2 carbon atoms. And the hydrogen, it has only 1 electron in its valence shell and can make only 1 covalent bond. So the white particles are hydrogen. So we have how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So there are 6 white particles that are involved in making only 1 covalent bond. So these are hydrogens. And we left with only 1 gray particle and it is making 2 bonds. So from the knowledge of the periodic table, we can say oxygen is the only atom in among all these 3 which can make 2 covalent bonds at a time. So there are only 1 oxygen atom. So keeping in mind what should be the right answer, we can say D is the right answer, where we have 2 carbon atoms, 6 hydrogen atoms, and 1 oxygen atom. Question number 7. Which statement is a solid nonmetal? Whenever we see a solid, so we can say its melting point should be higher than the room temperature and the boiling point as well. Okay, so anything which is solid, it must have higher melting point. So we can eliminate this option as its melting point is lower than room temperature. We eliminate this option as well. Next, we left with 2 options. Both have higher melting point than the room temperature. Secondly, as it is a non-metal, so non-metal usually have not such a high temperature, so we definitely eliminating the D. Again, as it is a non-metal, it should not be the good conductor of electricity. That is why we also have to eliminate option D. And we left with only one C correct option. Question number 8. The diagram show the bonding in 3 covalent molecules. This one again, depending upon, and you have to recall the question number 3, how we solve that. In this, we have 2 similar atoms making single covalent bond, so it could be hydrogen, as hydrogen is a diatomic and can form both hydrogen atom only 1 single bond and can be existing like this. This should be oxygen, as oxygen is also a diatomic, but it requires 2 electrons to have its valence shell complete. So 2 of the oxygen atom will share 2 electrons with each other, having a double covalent bond between the oxygen atoms. And this should be the nitrogen. Also, it is a diatomic, but each nitrogen atom requires 3 electrons to have its valence shell complete. Now, the requirement is it says that which of these molecules combine to form ammonia. So we have to remember what is the correct formula of ammonia. The correct formula of ammonia is NH3, indicating there are nitrogen and hydrogen atoms only. So we can say the model 1, which is hydrogen, and model 3, which is nitrogen, will definitely going to combine with each other to make ammonia. So in this scenario, we can say option B, 1 and 3 is correct. The next question is 9. Carbon and chlorine form a chloride. What is the formula of this chloride? We discussed in question number 5 that carbon can make 4 bonds at a time, here, here, and this. Whereas chlorine, being the member of 7 group, requires only 1 electron to have its valence shell complete. That is why each chlorine atom is making one covalent bond with the carbon atom from the 4 sides. So it will reveal that the formula of the carbon chloride will be CCl4, called as carbon tetrachloride. So B will be the right option. Proceeding. Question number 10. In the diagrams, circles of different sizes represent atoms of different elements. Which diagrams can represent hydrogen and hydrogen chloride gas? So hydrogen can make only one single covalent bond. Chlorine can also make one single covalent bond. So whenever there is hydrogen chloride, one hydrogen and one chlorine atom combines. So this will be option A. As we can see, chlorine has comparatively bigger size than hydrogen, and each chlorine and hydrogen atoms are combined. So we can say A is the right option. Question number 11. How many electrons are shared between the atoms in a molecule of methane? So methane, we have to draw the displayed formula of methane. Methane, in which one carbon atom is involved in making 4 covalent bonds with the 4 hydrogen atoms, like this. So we have the knowledge that this single line represents one shared pair of electrons, as there are 4 single lines and each line is representing one pair, mean 2 electrons. So total 8 electrons are shared in the molecule of methane. Whereas the water, the displayed formula of water is H2O, mean each oxygen atom is involved in making one single covalent bond with each hydrogen atom. As there are 2 single lines, each line is representing one pair of electron, so there are total 4 electrons. So keeping this information in your mind, we can choose D as the right option. So in our next video, we will solve the page number 2.